How you doing, Jared?
I'm good, can't complain.
All right. Well, listen, let's get right into it. You were extremely emotional last night after your second eviction. How are you doing today? Have you processed everything going through your mind right now?
Oh yeah, for sure. I had some time to sleep on it, think about my game, reflect, and for me, it was one of those things that obviously I was more emotional on the fact of leaving my mom behind. But last night, just being able to sit with my own thoughts, I knew that I reminded myself that she's a legend. She's done this before. This ain't her first time. And, it's time to move on.
Congratulations, Cameron! Your game is officially resurrected. Jared, I am sorry, but your game is over.
What do you think your biggest regret is in the game?
My one biggest regret right now, I'm sure I'll probably plenty later on, but my one biggest thing right now is just not joining forces with Cameron early on and putting him on the block initially, because I feel like if I was to never do that, I'll probably be in the house right now.
Well, speaking of Cameron, you two have shared back and forth a lot of HOHs. Do you know who the current HOH is right now?
Please tell me.
It's Cameron.
Ah! Why am I not surprised? That dude is a dog, man. Why am I not surprised?
Quite a turnaround, right?
C Money, my boy, man. It was gonna be one of us. I promise you that much. Regardless of who stayed, I told him, I'm like, bro, if I stay, I'm going back in that room. And I know if you stay, you're going back in that room. So why am I not surprised, man?
I do want to talk a little bit more about your relationship with your mom. Do you think you're at an advantage or disadvantage being in the house with her there?
It's 50-50 because I'm sure, as you know, it's more than anybody. Going into that house with absolutely nobody is one of the hardest things to do. So having somebody that you know, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what's being said, will have your back 100% is a huge advantage to have in that game, because you know that you got one vote. One vote isn't a lot when it comes to 17 people, but I mean, it's enough to do it, and you can figure out the rest. But on the contrary to that, early on, we was pit on different sides of the houses. We was pit on different sides of the house, and I feel as if I was put with one side that was possibly a little bit stronger on the comp side of things, and she was put on another side that was probably more strong on the social side of things, and it just made it more complicated because obviously keeping it secret, but at the same time trying to protect her was gonna eventually, it was 58 days for me, so eventually people started to catch on to the fact of like, hey, why are you so adamant about protecting Sari? And why were you so adamant about protecting Izzy in that moment, especially when I was able to build strong relationships with everyone else in the house still? So people were just a little confused about that. And I always told my mom that regardless, I'll be front line for her, whatever the competition may be, even if it's one of her strong suits, I'm gonna try to make sure that I win it to secure both of our safety. When she wasn't able to pull off certain HOH competitions, it just made it that much harder for me because after my whole HOH wins, not being able to play the following week was pretty tough for me because I needed to lean on her on those kind of weeks. And if she wasn't able to pull it off, it just made it that much more complicated because then the social game had to kick in on 10.
Well, look, Sari is known and had a really strong social game going here. You kind of tanked her game a little bit by not telling her the full truth often. Was that intentional on your part, or did you just get lost up in the mechanics of the game?
Yeah, just getting lost up in my head in the mechanics of the game for sure. There were certain things that I felt as if I knew her better as where maybe than I thought. And I said to myself, listen, telling her this is just only going to make her super paranoid and make her make certain moves that she wouldn't necessarily want to make before this. And I was really nervous to kind of taint her game and make her feel as if she needed to do anything. And I think for the most part, obviously with a few tweaks to a few conversations that we had, I think that it was the best move for me and for her moving forward, because having her paranoid in the house was never good. She started to make rash assumptions sometimes about certain people where it wasn't necessarily always that clear cut. And once again, with her previous knowledge of this game and prior knowledge of other games and just this world, and sometimes it was hard to try to tell her like, hey, I think I may know what's best in this situation. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking to a legend, and how can I meet, first timer to sit here and tell somebody who's been through the ringer, hey, I know what I'm doing more than you in this moment. You know what I mean?
Hey,
so
if we're talking about spilling information, why would you tell Blue that your mom is in the house? Was that beneficial to you? Do you think that's something she needs to worry about moving forward?
So Blue very early on told me a big secret about herself outside of here and let me know that she was actually a strategist outside of here. And I knew that it would be something that was really crucial to her game. And I knew that at that point that Blue was really trying to entrust me with certain information and pretty much wanted that reciprocated also. So I started to kind of hint at certain things about me and my mom, just so Blue felt as if one, not only that she can trust me, but two, she would be the only one to have the understanding of, okay, this is exactly why he's trying to protect her this much. I felt like with me being in that game, it was actually more of a problem than me being outside of it, because now Blue doesn't have to worry about, okay, when it gets down to it, he's going to kick me and take his mom. That was always one of my biggest worries about telling Blue. But now, considering that I'm gone, she doesn't have to really consider that anymore. And now I feel as if she knows me, and we built a strong enough bond so she can be able to want to protect me and essentially protect me through my mom.
All right. Well, I got to ask you a little bit more about Blue now. Look, do you regret getting into showmance? We know you have a girlfriend outside of here. What's going on there?
So I actually don't have a girlfriend outside of here. I was really adamant about expressing to Blue that I just got out of a long-term relationship, a 7-year relationship, and it was really tough because it was really fresh for me, moving into the house, and especially after 7 years, it's such a long time to be with somebody and to break up and only be broken up for a month. It was really tough, and I told myself going in that I would not try to get into any showmances, just because, you don't want to jump from thing to thing and still be thinking about other people, or regardless of trying to maneuver that whole messy situation. And I told Blue about my situation and was really open and honest with her about it, just so she understood why I felt certain ways that I felt, and that it was going to be a hard process for me to try to, pursue something new when I just got out of something so fresh and so long. So it was tough, but do I regret it? Not really, no, not at all. And that's just the honest truth about it.
All right. I mean, I gotta push. Look, we saw you walk out the DR and say, Kenzie, I love you. So hopefully she'll understand. Hopefully you guys have a good agreement and understanding on where you two stand. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper here. We did see you on the live feeds call America the R word. Nick got expelled from the Big Brother house for saying the N word. The R word has more of a prevalent understanding now that is a slur. What do you think about the show deciding not to remove you from the game? And do you have anything to say from fans who are upset about your use of that word? Yeah, for sure. I can't really speak on the fact of the show not removing me from the game. I know that I got a really stern warning about making sure that never happened again, and it didn't never happen again for me in the game. And they were really adamant about almost immediately rectifying the situation and making sure that it was something that I would never do again. That's for the show's behalf, but for my behalf and for the people outside of here, once again, it's just one of those things that I completely regret and I wanted to apologize about, because it's just not my demeanor, it's not my character, and it's not something that I would say in my everyday life. And every day I work forward to making sure that things like that aren't happening, and that being African American at the end of the day, and on week one hearing that kind of slur for myself was automatically like, God damn, this ain't right. You know what I mean? So following that up by using the R word is never okay. It's never something that I would ever do again in my everyday life. And I just want to apologize to anybody who was offended by that, because that's just not who I am. I want to ask you, what will you take away from your experience of playing Big Brother?
Big Brother was an elaborate experience for me. It was fun. It was very stressful, as I'm sure you know. But altogether, it really helped me develop into a better person. It was so many different people in the house that we go into this thing thinking like, hey, I'm around millions of people every day. This ain't gonna be nothing. And then you get into this pressure cooker of an environment and things just start to go haywire, right? And one thing that I was able to take was that, hey, even at 25, we think we know it all. But it's so much more to life, and there's so much more to learn, and there's so many different personalities that even at this age that I've never ran across. So it was a really good experience, a really meaningful experience for me, and I learned so much through it, and I couldn't get that anywhere else.
Okay, I gotta know, who are you hoping to see come right behind you out of the Big Brother house?
I have my 4 targets, that being Corey, Mama Felicia, Matt, and Jag. Now that I know Cameron won, Mama Felicia was definitely on the bottom of that list, because regardless of how I felt, the part that she may have played in my eviction, I still had too much love for Mama Felicia to see her go. It was just one of those things that was tough for me to kind of even get on board with, even after the fact when people were telling me that was going to be it. I was hoping that Corey was the one who was going to follow me right out the door. But I know that Cameron had his sights set on Mama Felicia, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her right after.
How do you think Saria's going to fare without you in the house? Do you think she's going to make it to the end?
Yeah, I think she's going to be good. I think now she's going to kick it into high gear. And now that she knows that she's by herself and that she doesn't have anybody to lean on, she's going to be the player that I always knew that she could be. She's a legend in my eyes. She's always going to be my greatest of all time. And I just know that she got it. And I got so much hope and respect for her. And I just know that, like I said, she's going to kick it up. And they better be aware, because she about to start going hard now.